Welcome to Morrison Madness. I'm Don.
I'm LaShelle.
So, our last episode, we kind of tried to put together a satirical top 10 list of reasons to go to Vegas.
I'm not sure it was as satirical as we wanted it to be. But...
No, it wasn't. It was basically just all the things that we were shocked about that weren't that good about Vegas. So, we don't want you to think that Vegas was all bad.
No. It was fun.
Yes.
I'm glad we went.
There was a lot of cool things. Because we're not gamblers, we really didn't care for the Strip.
Well, and we went to the Strip basically to go see a show, and we didn't have a whole lot of time before the show to check stuff out. And that was because...
No, but we did afterwards.
Yes, and
I'm just saying.
We tried to kind of look at stuff afterwards, but it was primarily casinos and restaurants later at night kind of thing.
And high-end shops.
Yes, very expensive high-end shops, and we're not high-end shop people. I don't need a Birka bag.
No, or a Gucci.
It's not something that I'm into. No. So in that sense, yeah, it wasn't really kind of our style. It was very pretty. The lights, all that kind of stuff was great. It was confusing though because you don't know which way's north, south, east, west kind of thing. And then once you get into a casino, even though you know where you want to go, like when we were trying to find the Potted Potter show, we didn't know where it was within the casino. And there's no maps. There's nothing. There's no directional signs.
No, right.
Kind of thing. So
you're getting into the things we didn't like about Vegas.
No, right.
Again.
But so then we went to the Strip. It was interesting. I liked the fountain that we saw.
They're famous for their fountain.
Rock on.
So, and the show that we went to,
the show was awesome.
So it was called
Potted
Potters.
Potted Potter. Yep.
So, and it was these two guys who break all 7 Harry Potter books down into 10-minute little condensed stories.
Right.
And imagine if you were hearing about each one of those books from a teenage ADD child on crack.
Yeah, it might even be younger than teenage. Like
no, because their synopsis of each story was pretty good. I think you'd have to be at least that age to be able to pull that much,
I suppose,
out of it.
But it wasn't a coherent synapse, like, if that makes sense. Like, if you've read the books, it would make sense to you. If you've not read the books, you would be wondering what in the world was going on. But yes, it was ADD on crack storytelling of the 7 Harry Potter books in 70 minutes.
It was very funny.
It was very, very funny. And the two actors played off of each other. You could tell that they did things that night that they have never done before.
Because some of it's improv.
Right, to each other. So you can tell they're improving while they go. Don got to be singled out of the audience at one point.
Right, because he split the audience in half, and half were Slytherin, and half were Gryffindor, except for me. I don't know why he picked me out, but he picked me out, and I was Hufflepuff.
Yes, which was great because we enjoy Harry Potter, and I made you go see the Puffs at a local show, which shout out to the Puffs, by the way, when they did the theater thing, which is all about the Hufflepuff, and their motto is third or nothing. So as soon as he got singled out as saying that he was Hufflepuff, your response to the guy was
third or nothing.
And yeah, arm in the air.
They both kind of froze,
yelling it, and they stopped.
And they
looked at each other, and one guy that wasn't actually calling you out.
And he said what?
Right.
And I repeated it.
The one guy that was sitting towards the back that wasn't supposed to really be interacting with the crowd said, "What did you say?" And so Don repeated it, and he goes, "Okay." You could tell they weren't sure what it was, but then they both were like, "We need to figure out what that is," because clearly it meant something. So it'll be funny if they actually figure that out and see if that gets incorporated somehow into their show, because that's funny. So that was good. I enjoyed that. I'm glad we went. I think it was a great show. I enjoy seeing kind of the off stuff instead of the huge, everybody is going to see this one show.
Right.
I like seeing the not as big show and getting more of that intimate feel. So that was great. And then that was on Saturday.
Right.
Sunday, we went to downtown.
Well, a friend of ours, Steve, had told LaShelle
yes,
that we definitely
shout out
needed to go
Steve.
to downtown.
Yes.
So we texted Tim and Steve and said, that we've been walking for 3 hours and still haven't been able to find downtown.
And then it was a bit of a panic moment for me because I'm Google mapping this. And all anybody would tell me is that it's just downtown Las Vegas. You just need to go to downtown Las Vegas. So, okay. So I put downtown Las Vegas. Nobody told me it was Fremont Street or anything along those lines. They just kept saying downtown Las Vegas. And so I put downtown Las Vegas into our Google map, which is great. Well, it turns out that there is a downtown bar, like a restaurant called Downtown.
Well, there used to be. It was an abandoned building.
No.
Yeah, that building was abandoned, honey. That we took the picture of. Yeah, the lady was painting the door. That business was no more.
Oh, well, because I could have swore that the next night there was stuff going on there.
No.
Okay. Anyway, so as we come up, and this downtown bar, which, again, the name was called Downtown, was literally half a block right across the street from Fremont Street and kind of where everything starts. So luckily, if that's what it Google mapped to, it did Google map us to the right place. But we did take a picture of that and send it to Steve and Tim, to Tim, and said, we found downtown, we're not impressed.
Right.
Because it wasn't what Steven described at all. But anyway.
So if you've never been to downtown.
You're looking for Fremont Street.
Steve described this to LaShelle.
Yeah.
Apparently, I wasn't there for that conversation.
No.
But so he's explaining to her that there's a canopy across the walkway between the two sides of the blocks.
So there's huge
and
sidewalk.
There's all of this, the canopy is like a giant television screen.
Right.
And so there's this
light
show, laser show, or whatever going up on this screen all the way down
several
blocks.
And it's a street wide because they've made a street into a ped mall, basically. Right. So it's a 4-lane wide street that you're walking on that's only pedestrian traffic. And then, above you, 3 stories up, is this big canopy that's turned into a screen. And it's a really cool show. And they have a lot of designs and pictures and stuff that get put up there. So you could just sit and kind of watch that for a while if you wanted. We have some video. I'll probably post that at some point if I haven't posted already by the time this posts.
Well, by the time we got down there, we were
exhausted,
worn out, exhausted, a little bit hungry, needed something to drink. So we didn't go exploring. We went to the very first bar right on the corner. It's called Hennessy's. It's a great little Irish bar.
And a good food.
Yeah. And
really good lemonade.
And they had great specials on football.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a football game. So they had half-price appetizers.
Right.
And drink specials.
Right.
So we ordered calamari. It was delicious.
It was really good.
The best part was we get up there, and because of what we went through the night before of trying to get in to 5 or 6 different restaurants and having to have a reservation, I looked at the girl that was standing at the...
There were 2 girls standing at the check-in.
Right. And I said...
station, the hostess stand.
I don't even remember exactly what I said. Something like...
You said, please tell me that we do not need an effing reservation to eat here. And the one...
Or I'm going to die or something
right.
like that. Or I'm going to cry.
And the one girl... Well, both girls' eyes got really big. And the one looked at me and I'm laughing because I realize why you're saying this and that you're really not serious. But you don't know that you look super serious when you say these things. And so when she realized that I was laughing and that you were going to be... okay with joking and what have you kind of thing, she just deadpan looked straight back at you and said, you have to have a reservation. Yeah. And of course your response is like, oh no. And then she starts laughing because, again, at the time, as we're walking in, the chairs that are outside, the chairs and tables were pretty full.
Yes.
But inside, totally almost empty.
Well, there was a bunch of people at the bar watching the game.
But there were 20 tables and chairs that were empty in this place. So if we needed a reservation, it would have been kind of interesting if we actually did. And then she was like, of course you don't need a reservation, just sit anywhere you would like, kind of thing. But so it was extra funny at that point.
Yes.
So I like the fact that they played along. And that was one of the things too, in general, overall, everyone that worked there that we interacted with, super friendly, super nice, helpful to the best of their ability as far as where to go, how to get someplace, explaining, nuances of Las Vegas, because if you don't live there, you don't know, kind of thing. So that was also really nice.
Yes. And then after that, we went to, we just kind of went on a wander. on a walkabout.
Right.
And
we just started wandering the Fremont Street, which is downtown.
Right. We didn't even get half a block, and there was a mall type building.
Yep.
There was a restaurant attached to that called the Heart Attack Grill or something like that.
Yep.
But right inside the walkway of the mall, there was a toy store.
Yeah.
Full of vintage toys and props from movies.
Yep.
So that was fun to look at.
Yep.
And then there was another restaurant inside there called Dick's or something like that.
I think it's Dick's, yeah.
And there was an axe throwing bar.
And then there was the nerd bar.
Yeah, we went in the nerd bar, and they had bowling alley and skee ball and video games, and then they had all kinds of Star Wars and other.
Yeah, they had life-size
Big Bang props.
Right, they had a life-size Boba Fett, a life-size, was it Jenga?
Jar Jar.
Oh, was it? Well, yeah, there was a Jar Jar there too, but there was two.
They were both Boba Fett.
Oh, were they both Boba?
Yeah, they were just different
times or whatever.
Yeah,
and then
Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, Jabba the Hutt as well. So we have some photos of that. And again, if you're following us on social media, at some point all these photos will be up there. They may have already been up there before this post, so you can kind of look back through our history, depending upon when this podcast posts, because we record a little early sometimes. So
then
especially with the holidays.
We're on the second level now. We'd just gotten off the escalator and saw the nerd bar.
Right.
And so then we come out of there and we start walking around to the left, and there's a lot of empty space in this building.
Yes.
And so we get to the other wall of the mall.
Right.
And there's a guy standing outside what I'm assuming is a club.
Yep.
Right? And the front room is all like t-shirts and koozies and glasses and
right.
that kind of stuff.
And it's called the Cat's Meow.
Right. So we have no idea what it is.
No.
And so this very large gentleman, he very, very nice.
Yes.
Right. And we're like, so, what's going on here?
Right.
And he goes, it's a karaoke bar. And I'm like,
yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Don was very excited about a karaoke bar.
And we were there early enough. We didn't have to pay cover.
Right.
So
we got to go in. We got to sing several songs.
Yep. We hung out there for a long time.
Several hours.
Different than any other karaoke thing I had ever been to. So they would have somebody come up and sing karaoke, and then the MC would sing along to a music video. Right. In between every person that sang.
Right. So, instead of just calling one person up after another person, it didn't matter how busy that place got.
Yeah.
They always played a song between each singer.
And had video up on...
Right.
There were giant TVs everywhere.
There were giant TVs everywhere, and all of the TVs showed the lyrics if somebody was singing. But if in between, when they're playing just a general song, then the video was up. And then usually the MC was singing along to it and like dancing around and performing on stage and getting people hyped up before the next singer kind of idea. So it was a way to keep the energy up, I think, between singers.
When I asked him about it, he said because the DJ needed time to pull up the music. And I thought, that's weird. I mean, most people would be like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. The fact that we have a karaoke company, and I mean, all you got to do is type in the song, and generally, if you have a list of people, you're going to have them put into the queue ahead of time.
Well, and that was the other thing. You signed up to sing up by the stage, and they had a person that was taking the song request from you, and you had to know the number, and then I didn't, like, the number was on a PowerPoint slide that they were editing, and so then they had a chalkboard, and they would write your name and your number up on the chalkboard to keep track of when people signed up.
Right.
And then they just had a PowerPoint slide up, and the person that was taking the request from people would change that PowerPoint slide. And so whoever was singing was first, and then they'd had up next below, and then they had to change the up next as well. And I think that's the only way the DJ, who was in a booth in the back of the room, actually knew what the next song was going to be.
It was very weird. I mean, it was a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I just have never seen anything quite like that. It could have been much more streamlined, and you could have had a lot more people singing. Yes.
But I think also the MC was an entertainer in and of themselves. Like, the MC could have had a show all their own. We saw two different MCs, and the one that
the first night, the guy was much better than the one on the second night, in my opinion.
I think, well, part of it, I think we got to talk to him a little bit more because it wasn't as busy. But I think...
Well, in my opinion, he had a better voice. He actually sang to where you could hear him.
Yes. Yeah, he was a little bit louder in the mic, but I think that might have been part of the DJ too, because the DJ didn't balance me as well the second night as the first DJ did when I was singing to karaoke even. So I wonder if that DJ didn't favor voices more than the music, and the second night the DJ favored the music over the voice, because none of the microphones were very loud.
Yeah.
The next night, the music was way louder, but both of them could have sang with a group or potentially on their own. Like, they had good voices. They could have been professionals, and they had their own kind of little shtick, their own personality and persona. And I heard later on that the guy that we originally saw when we left, as we were coming back, people were walking from there and saying, "Did you see him? He was doing backflips and everything up on that stage." The MC was. So I don't know if the MC switched and it was a different MC after we left, or if it was the MC that we saw that was doing that.
The MC that we saw was a pretty big dude. I don't see him doing backflips, but hey.
You never know. So from my understanding, though, that they are kind of part of the show, is the thing. So it's not just karaoke only. The MC is part of the show. So it's a very different setup and type of show than what we run for our karaoke shows, because we really it's just the karaokeers is the show. We don't do our own shtick between each of them every time.
So then when we were done there and we decided we wanted to eat, we did walk around a little bit and tried to find some place. We didn't really know what we were looking for. And
we didn't know what we were hungry for.
Right. We finally decided on a restaurant more based on the fact that it was smoke-free than the type of food that it had.
Yes.
And it was called the
Whiskey...
No, the Liquor Up and Down. You keep saying whiskey, but it's Liquor Up and Down.
It was the Whiskey Barrel. The Whiskey Barrel on the second floor, and then I never saw the sign Liquor Up and Down. I only saw the Whiskey Barrel sign saying that it was on the second floor.
Oh, well, there were signs all over the place that said Liquor Up and Down.
So I don't know if maybe that's their tagline.
Could be.
And so I think it was called the Whiskey Barrel is the actual restaurant. So.
And we got a seat with an open window facing out over the crowd.
For those that are listening, the liquor is one word. Liquor.
Yeah.
Up and down.
Right.
So liquor as in the drink.
Yes.
Up and down.
It was a play on words.
Yes. But again, as you're saying it doesn't sound like you're saying liquor as a one word. Anyway, moving on.
So we got a seat by the window that was open to the outside.
Yeah, like a balcony.
We were people watching, and as we're doing it, this is where the zip line in Vegas is.
Yep.
That people can zip line for like 5-6 blocks right down through this thing.
One end of the strip to the other.
And as we're sitting there eating, this young man, I would say he was
probably in his teens. I think
late teens.
Yeah, 17.
But he was small, skinny.
Right.
And he didn't weigh enough. And he comes sliding down, not very fast, and slowing down and slowing down and slowing down, and then stopped.
Right in front of us.
Right in front of us. And he's just stuck there.
Which was super exciting for me because I had wanted to get a picture of the zip line so that people, to explain to people. And you can't really get a picture of people ziplining because they go too fast by you. And by the time you realize that they're coming and get your camera out, you've already missed them. So the fact that he was stuck there, I was able to actually get a photo of somebody kind of hanging there in the zip line.
He had to wait. He probably waited out there for like 5 minutes. And then somebody from the zipline company came from the other end and hooked onto him and pulled him back.
Right.
Pulled him down to the end.
Yep.
So that was funny.
Yep. Yeah, that was fun. And people were telling him, just swim and all of that kind of stuff. But it wasn't scary for him. Like, you could tell he wasn't scared about being stuck there. He was just like, all right, well, I'll just chill here for a little bit.
There were a bunch of, this is where a lot of the street performers are.
Yes.
And a lot of them I didn't really understand. I mean, I feel like one guy just stood there and had a big boombox and he just played music.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
That's not street performing.
No.
And some of them they dressed a specific way and tried to get people to take pictures of them. Like, there were 2 guys with no shirt on and camo pants on.
Right.
That I don't know if they were supposed to have been in the military or something.
Well, and they had an American flag with them too that they'd hold up.
Yeah, that was
pretty
cheesy.
Yeah, I was not impressed by that.
But the one I did like, that I did see, it was these 2 dominatrixes with whips. And for $20,
Don,
you can get spanked in downtown Las Vegas
by 2 whips at the same time, and Don has the bruises to prove it. So I have video of Don doing that. It's quite humorous, by the way. So yeah, but they were nice, the street performers and things that way.
Yeah,
again,
it was cool.
Yeah, and downtown was much more our speed, I think, as far as what we enjoy seeing, doing, all that kind of stuff. And that's where the old Vegas, I guess, is, right?
That's where the Gold Nugget is, the original casinos.
The original casinos are on downtown Fremont Street, and then the Strip is now the big MGM Grand and all of that kind of stuff is down on the Strip. And so then each hotel on the Strip is a city in and of itself kind of thing, where I don't feel like the downtown was really the same way. So for what we were interested in and trying to kind of experience Vegas and kind of see that stuff.
We did stop at the Gold Nugget.
Yeah, we did.
It's a little sentimental place between me and my dad. Shout out to my dad, who's been gone for I don't even know how many years now. But anyway, it was kind of a sentimental thing, and so we stopped in there and I played a little bit of poker. I think I lost $40.
Right.
And then
you won. And
I
then you
won,
lost
and I
it
was
all.
up. And then I just kept playing. And
right.
And then the next 3 nights, we didn't do anything because we had the conference.
Right. And so after the conference, we just kind of came back to the hotel and we ate at the hotel and sometimes had leftovers, I think, wasn't it? I'm not even quite sure what all we did. I think one night maybe we ordered in sushi. I don't remember which night that was.
I don't remember either.
But then...
I feel like it was Tuesday night because Monday night we ate at the bar.
Right. And sometimes we just kind of chilled at the hotel in the hot tub kind of thing, or we would talk about what we had done and learned from the conference that day.
So Thursday night, our last night there,
right?
We found another show that we wanted to go to.
Well, we actually found the show on Sunday.
Oh, that's right.
When we were downtown.
Yeah, you wanted to leave, and I was like, no, let's go check out the 3rd floor. And you're like, oh, there's nothing up there.
Right.
And we went up there, and there was a theater up there. And so we found out about this show, and we're like, oh, we want to come back and see that.
Right. So the theater on the 3rd floor is called Notoriety. So that's where we went then on Thursday. And because I knew and I'd taken a picture of what the show hall was, the theater was and stuff, I could actually find tickets because there was no other place that I had looked online that you could actually find that this person was performing unless you specifically followed her page.
Okay. So, but the person has a name.
Yeah. Sarah Hester Ross.
Okay. So if you are on TikTok and you've heard of Florida Man Fridays.
That is Sarah Hester Ross. She plays piano and she's comedian, musical.
And if you haven't heard of it and you're on TikTok, you should check it out.
You should totally check it out. That's a shout out to Sarah Hester Ross. Her show was hilarious, very good. But again, it's one of those that we didn't know that was going until we happened to.
Right.
And you were talking to the guy, and I just was looking at the posters, and I went, honey, that's Florida Man girl that you see on TikTok. And you were like, who? And so then once I explained it, you were like, really? Are you sure? I'm like, yes, I'm sure that's who that is. And so we took a picture and it said that she was showing on Thursdays. So then I double checked and sure enough, she had a show on Thursday. So we went to go see her on Thursday night. So then we did Uber down or Lyft. We took a Lyft downtown.
And we got to meet her after the show.
We did get to meet her.
With her after the show. So she was wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was our Thursday night. And then we came home on Friday.
Yep.
So between some souvenirs and then we've got a lot of things from the conference as well. We ended up having to buy another suitcase to get home. But we needed a suitcase. It's okay.
Well, and I think, having the conference in the middle there, we would have done a lot more stuff downtown.
Yes.
Had we not been there for the conference. But the conference really was the reason that we were going.
Right. And I didn't want to be so worn out by going out at night during the conference that
we were missing stuff. We weren't getting our money's worth out of the conference because you have to pay to go to these conferences.
Right. So I really wanted to focus on doing the conference. So then we didn't do a whole lot then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Just enjoyed our hotel, which our hotel was great. We stayed at the Home to Suites, which was little kitchenette hotel rooms as well. So you had a little kitchenette in your hotel room, which was awesome. And then it was a block away from the convention center, but it was on the far corner from where our conference was. So
we didn't find out until the last day
Right.
that the last day of the conference, that Tesla built a loop underneath this convention center.
Yeah.
So on the last day, we got to take the Tesla loop from one end of the conference center to the other end of the conference center.
No, just to the middle. We didn't go all the way across because
right.
the thing we thought we were supposed to go all the way across.
Right.
But so it takes you from the south east end to the central part of the conference center to then the west north end of the conference center. Well, our conference was actually located on the southwest end.
Right. Which is right where the central drop off.
So the central drop off was closer than what the south drop off of the loop was. So it actually saved us from having to walk then that last day, both there and back. And it was free because we were conference attendees. So we got to take the loop on right in a Tesla for free, which was awesome. One of our lifts was a Tesla too.
Yeah.
So that was fun. We got to ride in a Tesla a couple times, but
that is one thing that was interesting about doing Lyft is that the majority of the time that we tried to get a car, it was cheaper to get a luxury car than the non-luxury car.
Yep.
I don't know what the deal was with that. I don't know if it was some promotion, but one time we rode in a Porsche crossover. One time we rode in an Audi.
It could just be
one time we rode in a Mercedes-Benz.
Right. It could just be the number of those type of cars too. Like, and I said this several times. I feel like a lot of people in Vegas have very nice vehicles. Like they put more money into their vehicle than necessarily having a big house. Because I don't feel like a lot of people, especially that live in downtown, have huge houses. They live in these tiny apartments, but then they have these really nice cars.
Yeah, I don't know.
And so I think maybe it was just there's more luxury vehicles available and than the other type.
I know a lot of people retire there because there's no state tax.
Oh, sure.
So
could be. So anyway, so that's kind of what we did on our trip. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad we went.
Yes. And we do highly recommend the downtown. I mean, if you are into the big fancy stuff, definitely check out the Strip.
And if you're planning on going down to a show or whatever, don't avoid the Strip, but definitely kind of figure out where you need to go. Or, if you want to go and stay at a hotel on the Strip, you can, but it's an experience in and of itself, just being in one hotel.
Downtown, though, was a lot more interesting and diverse.
Yeah, I agree. Downtown was more our speed.
Yes.
Checking stuff out. So I would recommend downtown over the Strip.
So thanks for checking out this episode. Hopefully you found some interesting and helpful information if you are taking a trip to Vegas.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see you next time.
Take care.